In our previous video, we talked about what Agile is, why it was needed, and what is the meaning of Agile mindset. If you haven't seen that video yet, I suggest you watch it first by clicking the link on the screen or in the description below. Today we will talk about how to correctly understand the 4 values of the Agile Manifesto. I'm your coach Tahir and welcome back to Agile Vibes. By the year 2001, we were well into the digital revolution. The use of computers and specialized software systems was becoming ubiquitous across all industries. But the people creating that software had a problem. Their projects were almost always getting delayed. No matter how well they analyzed and documented the requirements in advance, clients will keep coming back with new requests during the development phase, which will cause delays. We will talk more about the circumstances which led to the 2001 meeting of 17 industry experts in another video, but for now it's enough to know that the issue of rapidly changing requirements was a common key concern, if not the only concern. Drawing upon their combined experience, the participants of the meeting agreed on a set of 4 values and 12 principles which they felt should guide the way how work is done in this new era of rapid change. This came to be known as the Agile Manifesto. These values are written in the "we value A over B" style to show we are not saying B has no value, but rather that A provides a higher value than B. Here is the Agile Manifesto in its original form. Manifesto for Agile Software Development. We are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. Through this work we have come to value individuals and their interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. That is, while there is value in the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. Signed by Kent Beck, Mike Beadle, Ori Van Bennekom, Alastair Coburn, Ward Cunningham, Martin Fowler, James Grenning, Jim Highsmith, Andrew Hunt, Ron Jeffries, John Kern, Brian Marrick, Robert C. Martin, Steve Meller, Ken Schwaber, Jeff Sutherland and Dave Thomas. Let's take a closer look at each of these values and see how they should be understood. Value 1, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Remember, we are not saying we do not value processes and tools, but rather that in the Agile way of thinking, we value people and their interactions more. To understand why, we must ask 2 questions. Firstly, the chicken and egg question: what came first? People, or processes and tools? Yes, people, of course. People working together create processes and agree on which tools they will use. Now, you can argue it's not always true. For example, if you join a large company today, they will most likely have some processes and tools already in place, right? Yes, true, but sometime in the past, those processes and tools were, nevertheless, agreed upon by some people. Second, and more importantly, how can our processes improve? Who is responsible for doing that? Again, it's the people using those processes who are in the best position to propose changes and improvements. And make no mistake, process improvements are vital for a business to stay competitive and survive. When joining a large organization, people sometimes make the mistake of looking at existing processes and tools as written in stone, something that must be followed blindly and without questioning. That is a mistake. If an organization has been using the same tried and tested process for the past 10 years without improvement, they are a dinosaur, fortunate to still be in business. And lastly, processes should follow the natural interaction needs of the people, not force upon people interactions which are not strictly necessary and useful. To sum it up then, in the Agile mindset, we value individuals and their interaction over processes and tools, because it's the individuals who create the processes, and who should always be improving the processes. The processes and tools are there to facilitate the working of the individuals, not the other way round. Value 2, working software over comprehensive documentation. First thing I would point out is the working software part. Agile Manifesto was written with software systems in mind, and thus it says working software here, but in reality, over the past 20 years, Agile values and frameworks have been very successfully used in all sorts of industries, from automakers to hotels to pharmaceuticals and so on. So, if you are not developing software, not to worry, you should simply read it as working products over comprehensive documentation. Now to the meaning of it. Before 2000 it was common to start a project with an analysis and collection of requirements phase. In fact, companies used to spend considerable time and money on collecting and listing a complete set of requirements before a single line of code was written. By 2000 it was becoming clear that this practice was unnecessary. While some understanding of client requirements and system features is needed, a complete set of requirements and system features is not, because it is most likely to change during the course of development. And yet, it is also equally important to make sure we are building what the client or end users really want. So, it makes more sense to collect client and end user feedback iteratively. That is, to regularly show the system to the stakeholders and collect their feedback, then use that feedback as a list of requirements for the next cycle of development, then show again and collect more feedback, and so on. This agile value is saying that developing something for months or years and then showing it to the stakeholders has a high risk and cost. If what we developed is not what the end user wanted, a lot of work might go wasted. At the same time, it does not allow the end user or client to introduce changes midway during development. Rather, we should focus on creating something that works, no matter how basic, and show it to the end user, collect their feedback, and then use that feedback as our documentation for the next cycle of development. For the end user too, it's a lot easier to decide what they need if they can see or use something that works, even if it has limited functionality. Value 3. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Most disputes in business arise due to mistrust, and mistrust develops due to lack of visibility. In the past, it was a usual practice to hide from customers what is going on inside projects. Customers had no visibility of how the project was progressing. At best, they would get a weekly or monthly project report and were expected to trust us on our word. Any delays or other problems would come as an unexpected surprise to them, which naturally created an environment of mistrust and caused conflict where both sides had to often resort to negotiating their contract again. This agile value is saying, why don't we make our customer a part of the development? Why don't we collaborate with them and provide them more visibility instead of hiding what we are doing? This would provide the customer direct visibility into how the project is progressing, and nothing would come as a complete surprise to them. It would also allow the customer to better understand how development would be affected when they prioritize one requirement over another, or ask for additional functionality. It would eliminate conflicts requiring contract negotiation and create an environment of mutual trust, which is highly beneficial for a business. Value 4. Responding to change over following a plan. This is perhaps the most misunderstood agile value of all. To be clear, doing any kind of work requires planning, and this value is not questioning the importance of planning. It is saying that our plans should allow for rapid change. This creates a paradox. If a plan has to be changed every day, what is the point of having it in the first place? Right? The key is to understand adaptive planning. In adaptive planning, the focus is on the goal, not the process of achieving the goal. To illustrate the point, imagine you want to drive to work. You make a plan in your mind which route you will take to reach your workplace. But on your way, a road is closed due to repair works. What would you do? Surely you would not just sit there and wait till the road is open again, neither would you change your final destination and go somewhere else instead. Most likely you would just turn back your car and find an alternative path to reach your workplace. That is adaptive planning. The goal must not change. How you achieve the goal can change at any time, allowing you to respond to changes rapidly. Now this is all well and good, nice theory, you might say. But how can I actually use these values in my work, in a practical sense? In the next video, we will review the 12 Agile principles and also talk about how we can actually implement these values and principles in our day-to-day work. Until then, thank you for watching Agile Vibes. I am your coach Tahir, and I'll see you in the next video.